Hey there. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. It really helps a lot. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. My name's Evelyn Martin. I'm 68 now, and not too long ago, I learned just how easily family bonds can fall apart. I live alone in a quiet little house in the suburbs. My days are calm and uneventful, same routine, same rhythm, and honestly, I like it that way. After raising 2 kids, working 40 years as an accountant, and losing my husband 10 years ago, I've found peace in simple things. But Christmas was always special. That was the one time of year I could count on my son, Eric, and his wife, Beth, to visit. This year, though, something felt off, like there was this quiet tension in the air that I couldn't shake. Still, I did what I always do. I cooked a big meal, set the table just right, and filled the house with the warm smell of roast turkey. Soft holiday music played in the background as I put the last dessert on the counter. Eric and Beth arrived early, just like always. I gave them both a big hug. Eric's my only son. He means the world to me. But lately, he's felt distant. He doesn't stay long when he visits, and he seems distracted. Beth is always polite, though sometimes a bit bossy. Still, their presence filled the house, and for a while, it felt like everything was okay. Dinner started off fine. Eric sat at the head of the table, Beth next to him, and I served the food with a smile, just happy to have them there. We talked about work, life, the usual small stuff. It felt normal until it didn't. Out of nowhere, as we were finishing up, Eric looked at me with this cold, hard stare. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I wish you were never born." The words hit me like a punch. The room went silent, all the warmth, the laughter, the cozy holiday feeling, gone in a second. Beth stared down at her plate, gripping her wine glass like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Eric didn't even flinch. He just sat there, like what he said didn't matter. But it did. It broke me. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I felt like I didn't belong at my own dinner table anymore. After everything I'd given, all the love, the sacrifices, it suddenly felt like none of it mattered. We sat there in silence, the rest of the evening passing in a strange, blurry haze. I remember Eric trying to talk about other things, like nothing had happened. But I couldn't respond. I couldn't pretend to be okay. The silence between us was heavy, like thick fog pressing down on my chest. And the worst part, I couldn't even ask him why he said it. I just sat there, hurting, knowing something had shifted forever. Something deep had broken, and I knew it couldn't go on like this anymore. Something had to change. I stood up from the table and quietly said, "I'm tired. I think I'll head to bed early." My voice was shaky, but I didn't want to make a scene. Eric didn't even look up from his phone. He just waved a hand and mumbled something that might have been good night. I didn't care. My heart felt empty. I needed to get away. Once I reached my bedroom, I locked the door behind me and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking. I kept replaying Eric's words in my head, the way he said them so coldly, like they meant nothing. I couldn't believe it. After everything I had done for him, working long hours, giving up my own dreams just so he could chase his, it all came down to this one cruel sentence that made me feel like I didn't matter. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, asking myself over and over, was he mad about something? Did he need money? I wanted to believe he didn't mean it, that he was just upset. But deep down, I knew better. He meant it. He said it on purpose. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of clarity. Something in me had shifted. This wasn't just about what Eric said last night. It was about years of feeling ignored, of always giving and never receiving. As I made breakfast, I moved like a robot. Eggs cooking, coffee brewing, but I felt nothing. Just numb. Later that afternoon, after Eric and Beth had left, I knew exactly what I had to do. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. I was going to take him out of my will. I was done being the one he only called when he needed something. I found the old papers, read them over, and started crossing out his name. I'd worked my whole life to build something, and now I wanted it to go to people who respected kindness and hard work, not someone who could hurt me so easily. As I finished signing, I felt the weight on my chest lift. The decision was final. I didn't know if I'd ever see Eric again for the first time. That thought didn't scare me. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was Eric. My heart thumped. in my chest as I stared at the screen. I didn't pick up. I knew what he wanted, an explanation, a reason, maybe even an apology. But what could I possibly say? How do you explain years of being quietly pushed aside by someone you love? I let the phone go silent. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about me, about healing, about finally putting myself first. I stared out the window. The sky was getting dark. The house was too quiet and comfortably quiet. Every sound reminded me of all the years I had spent trying to keep my family together. I couldn't stay here. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside. The cold wind slapped my face, but for once, I didn't care. I felt something bubbling inside me, like a restless energy I hadn't felt in years. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to leave. I needed to find something that made me feel alive again. Then, my phone rang again. I answered it this time. Mom. Eric's voice was soft, unsure. We need to talk. I'm not coming back, Eric, I said. My voice was calm but firm. Not after what you said. There was silence on the line. Then I heard him whisper, Mom, please. His voice hit me hard. I wanted to cry, to scream, to ask him why, but I didn't. I've made my decision, I said, steady as ever, and it's final. Then the line went dead. I stood there, the phone still in my hand. I didn't know if I felt sad or free, but I knew one thing for sure. I was finally doing something for me. After all these years, I had taken back control. It's strange how quickly life can change. One moment, everything feels normal, and the next, it doesn't. I stood outside my house, my heart pounding from everything that had just happened. The phone call, the decision, it was all still spinning in my head. I started walking, not really sure where I was going. The cold air wrapped around me, but I barely felt it. I was numb, like I was moving through a fog. Not fully there, just floating. Then, something pulled me back to reality. I saw someone up ahead on the street, a figure I hadn't seen in years. I squinted, trying to make out who it was. As he got closer, my heart stopped. It was David, my ex-husband's brother. We hadn't spoken since the divorce. His side of the family had always been distant, polite, but never really close. But David had always stood out. He was kind, quiet, and a bit of a loner, like me. Evelyn, he said, his voice deep and familiar. I froze, unsure of what to say or do. He was close now, and I could see real concern written across his face. David, I said, barely above a whisper. What the hell happened, Evie? He asked, stopping right in front of me. I heard about the party. I heard what Eric said. Are you okay? Part of me wanted to snap, tell him to leave me alone. But when I looked in his eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen in a while, genuine care. So I lied. I'm fine, I said too quickly. He didn't believe me, I could tell. His eyes softened as he looked at me, like he was trying to read something behind my silence. I don't believe you, he said gently, but okay. You don't have to talk, just, can I walk with you? I paused, then nodded. We walked side by side, the soft noises of the street around us. It felt strange, comforting. Even after a few minutes, David spoke. So, what's the plan now? What are you going to do? I looked down at my feet. I don't know, I admitted. I've already made my decision about Eric. I'm done. I just can't keep acting like everything's fine. He nodded, his mouth a tight line. We kept walking, quiet again. Then he said something I didn't expect. You're not alone in this, you know. If you ever need anything, I'm here. His words hit me harder than I thought they would. I'd been so wrapped up in what I'd lost, my son, the family I thought I had died, forgot that someone out there might still care. David wasn't going to fix my life, but just hearing that I wasn't completely invisible, it meant something. Soon, we were back in front of my house. My heart thudded again, but it wasn't from fear this time. It was something else, something lighter. David looked at me with kind eyes and said, I'll check in on you soon, okay? I gave him a small smile, the first real one in a while. I'll be fine, I said, though deep down, I wasn't sure if I believed it yet. As he walked away, I stood there a moment longer and realized something important. I wasn't as alone as I thought. That little spark of hope, it was the first I'd felt in days. A week later, the phone rang. The house was quiet to quiet. That kind of silence that sneaks in after you've cried everything out. The kind that makes the walls feel closer and even the familiar creaks in the floor sound strange. I was staying in someone else's home, just trying to breathe. For the past few days, I'd done exactly what I said I would. Nothing. I sat in silence, trying to let the weight of everything sink in. Eric's words from that awful night kept looping in my head like a broken record. Then the phone rang. I wasn't surprised. I'd been waiting for this moment. I knew there would be fallout after cutting Eric out of my will. What I didn't expect was who was calling. Evelyn, darling, how are you? It was Patricia. Her voice was smooth, overly sweet, the kind of tone that makes your skin crawl. I could almost picture her smiling, even though I knew it was fake. My chest tightened. Talking to her felt like walking into a room full of people you really don't want to see. I'm fine, Patricia, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My fingers clutched the phone tighter. She didn't waste time. Well, I've been thinking about you, about everything that happened. I think we should meet. There's something important we need to discuss. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. I knew that kind of conversation. She wanted something. Patricia, I said firmly, I'm not interested in whatever scheme you're cooking up. I've made my decision. You don't have to worry about me. But of course, she didn't let it go. Oh no, Evelyn. This isn't about Eric or me or even the money. It's about you. You deserve more, and we both know it. I clenched my jaw. What are you talking about? Her voice dropped into a low, secretive whisper. I've been speaking with a few people, important people. We can help you, Evelyn. We can help protect your future, your legacy. All you have to do is trust me. That was it. I felt like I'd been slapped. This wasn't kindness. It was a pitch, a trick. She wasn't trying to help me, she was trying to use me. I didn't know exactly what the game was, but I knew I didn't want any part of it. No, I said sharply. I don't need your help. I've made peace with my decision. And I don't need any of you coming around trying to fix what you broke. But Patricia kept going, like she hadn't heard me at all. Evelyn, just think about it. If you reconsider, you can make sure everything you've built stays safe. There are people who want to take care of you. You could have more than you ever dreamed of. Her words made me feel sick. I could almost see her leaning in with that fake smile, whispering promises she didn't mean. This wasn't support. This was a deal, and deals like that always come with strings. I'll never trust you, Patricia, I said clearly, without hesitation, and I'm sure as hell not letting you control my future. There was a long silence. It felt like the air itself went cold. Then she finally spoke, her voice now hard and threatening. Fine, but just remember, Evelyn, some offers only come once. Don't say I didn't warn you. Click. The line went dead. I dropped the phone into my lap, my heart racing. The offer had been exactly what I expected, empty, but it wasn't the threat that got to me most. It was something worse, the painful truth that my own family, people who were supposed to care about me, could look at me and only see something they could use. The very people I had sacrificed so much for were now turning their backs on me, and in that moment, it became painfully clear there was a line, and I wasn't going to cross it. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the empty room around me. The silence was heavy, but it brought a strange kind of clarity. I was done being the one who always gave, done being used. It was time to take back control of my life, time to stand up for myself and claim what was mine. I wasn't ready for what happened next. 2 days after that unsettling phone call with Patricia, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart jumped as I got up. A small part of me wondering if maybe it was Eric. Maybe he had come to face the consequences of what he'd said. But when I opened the door, I froze. It wasn't Eric. Standing there was a woman I didn't recognize. She had an unsettling calmness about her, with dark hair pulled back into a tight ponytail, dressed in a sleek black suit that screamed business. There was something cold and off about her presence. Can I help you? I asked, already stepping back toward the door, instinct telling me something wasn't right. She stepped forward, her tone firm. I'm here on behalf of Patricia, Mrs. Martin. We need to talk about the proposal we've been offering you. My stomach turned. So this wasn't over. Not even close. I've already said no, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady, though a small tremble slipped out. I don't want anything to do with Patricia or anyone she's connected to. The woman didn't flinch. She simply raised a folder, thick and plain, marked only by its beige cover. This is about your will, Mrs. Martin, she said. Patricia isn't the only one interested in your assets. We've been monitoring the situation. and there's a potential partnership we'd like you to consider. A chill ran through me. Monitoring. I repeated the word, trying to wrap my head around what she was saying. What do you mean, monitoring? What the hell is going on? She opened the folder and pulled out a page, sliding it toward me. My breath caught. It was a copy of my recently updated will, signed, notarized, everything. We've been keeping an eye on your finances, she said smoothly. Your house, your investments, your photography business. I felt sick. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. They weren't just watching, they were tracking my every move. My voice cracked as I stepped back. How did you have this? This is private. Her eyes met mine, cold, sharp, and completely unreadable. You'd be surprised what people can find if they look hard enough. We know everything about you, Mrs. Martin. My fists clenched. I wanted to slam the door in her face, to scream at her, to make her go away, but something in her words stopped me cold. They had been watching me all this time. You're trying to scare me, I said, forcing the words out, trying to hold on to whatever strength I had left, even though inside I was shaking. I felt like I was about to break, but I refused to be pushed around. The woman standing in front of me smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile, it was sharp, almost mocking. We're not trying to scare you, Mrs. Martin, she said. We're offering you something that could make your life a lot easier. You still have time to say yes. We could still work together. But time's running out. My chest tightened. I wanted to tell her to get lost, to slam the door in her face and pretend none of this was happening. But something deep inside told me I couldn't ignore this. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about control. Who was going to take charge of what was left of my life? I'm not interested, I finally said, forcing the words out. Now, get off my property. She just stood there for a second, staring at me like she expected me to change my mind. Then, without saying another word, she turned and walked away. We'll be in touch, Mrs. Martin, she said as she reached the end of my driveway. Don't make the mistake of thinking you've got all the time in the world. I stood frozen in the doorway, my mind spinning. When she was out of sight, I slammed the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. My heart pounded in my chest. They were closing in, and I didn't know how much longer I could hold them off. But one thing I knew for sure, I wasn't going to let them win. Not now, not ever. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every shadow in my room felt like it was watching me. Every little sound in the house made me jump. Patricia's offer wasn't just shady, it felt dangerous, like there was something darker hiding underneath all of it. I tossed and turned in bed, my thoughts running wild. Why had David shown up again? Why did Patricia send that woman to my door? And why did they think they could control me like I was some kind of pawn? Then, my phone buzzed on the nightstand, breaking through the silence. I reached for it, expecting to see another call from Eric or Patricia. But when I looked at the screen, my heart skipped a beat. It was David. I froze, my thumb hovering over the answer button. Part of me wanted to ignore it. I didn't want to get dragged deeper into this mess. But another part of me needed answers. I answered David. My voice came out small and shaky, even to me. Evelyn, he said, his voice tense. Need to talk to you. Something's going on. I've been digging around, and I think I found something you need to know. I sat up straight in bed, my heart racing. What do you mean? What did you find? There's more to this than you realize, he said quietly. I've been talking to a few people. Patricia's not just playing games, she has a plan, and it's a lot bigger than you think. There are things you don't know, things that could change everything. A cold chill ran through me. Is it about the will? It's not just the will, Evelyn, he said. It's deeper than that. You need to be careful. They're making moves behind your back, moves you haven't even seen yet. My stomach turned. This wasn't just about family anymore. This was something much bigger. A power struggle. A battle I hadn't asked for, but one I was now stuck in the middle of. What I thought was just a bit of drama had turned into something serious, and, somehow, I was right in the middle of it. David, what are you talking about? I asked, my voice shaky. What are they planning? There's a lot I can't say over the phone, he replied. But I need you to meet me tomorrow. I'll explain everything then. I stared down at the phone, my head spinning. What could David possibly know? And why hadn't he told me earlier? What had Patricia and her people been doing behind my back this whole time? I'll meet you, I said, not even stopping to think. Same place we used to go, he told me. The old diner on Maple Street. I'll be there at noon. Don't be late. I ended the call, my hands still shaking. I had no clue what David had found, but one thing was certain: this wasn't over. I started pacing, the room suddenly feeling too small, like the walls were pressing in on me. Tomorrow, I'd get answers. I had to. Because if David was right, if there were hidden plans, lies, or people working against me, then everything in my life was about to change. The next day, I sat in our usual booth at the old diner. The smell of hot coffee and frying bacon filled the air, but it did nothing to calm me down. My nerves were shot, and I hated how unsettled I felt. David hadn't said much over the phone, but his voice had been serious. Something was wrong, and deep down, I already knew it. The diner was quiet, just a slow weekday morning. I glanced at the clock: 11:45. I'd gotten there early, hoping to steady myself before whatever truth David was about to drop on me. I was tired of the lies, the games, the feeling of being cornered, Patricia's strange behavior, the visit from that cold woman, David's warning. It was all starting to add up, and it scared me. Then the doorbell above the diner rang, and I looked up. There, he was, David.com, on the outside, like always, but I could tell from the way his eyes darted around the room that he was on edge. He slid into the booth across from me, serious, his eyes not meeting mine at first. "You were right," he said, his voice low. "This isn't just about money. It's about power, control, and you're right in the center of it." My heart started to race. "What are you talking about?" I leaned in. "What did you find?" He glanced toward the door again, like he was making sure no one was listening. Then he leaned closer, lowering his voice even more. "Patricia's been working with some powerful people who don't want to lose control. They've been pulling strings behind the scenes, and they've been watching you, Evelyn, planning around you." A cold chill ran down my spine. "But kind of planning?" David paused, clearly trying to choose his words carefully. "They've been making sure you feel alone, isolated, that you don't have anyone left to rely on. They know about the changes you made to the will. They know about your business, and they know you're starting to stand up for yourself." My stomach twisted into knots. This wasn't just about someone being greedy. Patricia and her group wanted control over my life, every part of it. "Why are they doing this?" I asked, barely able to get the words out. "What do they want from me?" David looked around the diner once more, then leaned in close, lowering his voice to a whisper. "They want to make sure you're not a threat to their plans. They need your assets, your business, and they need you to stay quiet. If you don't cooperate, they'll make things ugly." The color drained from my face. The words hung heavy in the air, and I could barely breathe. "What do you mean, ugly?" David's face turned serious, darker than I'd ever seen it. "I've heard things," Evelyn whispers. "If you push back, they won't hesitate. They'll come after you, and they won't play nice." I leaned back in the booth, feeling like the air had been knocked out of me. The weight of what he was saying hit hard. My life wasn't just being messed with, it was under attack, and I wasn't sure how far they were willing to go. I felt like the little bit of peace and freedom I had left was slipping away. I couldn't stop myself from asking, "Why are you helping me, David? What do you want from me?" He looked at me, his expression softening. "Because you're family, Evelyn, and I know you're stronger than they think. But you need to move fast. They're not wasting time, and the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to break free." I nodded slowly, the weight of it all sinking in like a stone in my stomach. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about survival. "You have to make a choice," David said, urgency creeping into his voice. "Either you give in and let them control you for the rest of your life, or you fight. But if you choose to fight, you have to be ready. They won't go easy on you." I turned to look out the window. The sun was setting, casting a warm orange glow across the buildings, and for the first time in days, I felt something spark inside me. It was small, but strong determination. A will to fight back, to take back control of my life. I looked back at David, my voice steady. "I'm not going down without a fight." The next few days dragged on like a long, lonely road. I had made my choice. Now it was time to act. Whatever I did next would either set me free or trap me even deeper in a life controlled by people who only saw me as a tool to use. David's warning kept playing in my head. I couldn't afford to fall behind Patricia and her twisted plans. I had to be smart, careful, and if it came to it, ruthless. I spent hours digging into everything I could find, researching Patricia, her connections, the people working behind her. It was like pulling back the curtain on a dark, tangled mess. And the deeper I looked, the clearer it became. This was bigger than me, bigger than my family. It was about power, control, and money. On a level I hadn't imagined. I was sitting in the living room, typing away on my laptop, when the doorbell rang. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. My heart jumped, and a cold sweat crept across my skin. I wasn't expecting anyone. I stood up slowly, my thoughts racing. Was it Patricia? Someone she sent? The bell rang again, louder this time. Whoever it was, they weren't leaving. I opened the door cautiously, and there she was, Amanda. Her face was tight, her eyes sharp and guarded, but she forced a sweet smile as she held out a large envelope. "Mom," she said, her voice sticky with fake kindness, "I've been trying to reach you. Can we talk?" I didn't invite her in. Instead, I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. "What do you want, Amanda?" Her smile slipped for just a second, but then she recovered. "We need to clear the air. I know things haven't been great between us, but what happened with Eric? This isn't you, Mom. This isn't how it should end." I raised an eyebrow. "You don't get to tell me how things should end, not after what Eric said to me. I'm done. I don't need your pity." Amanda stepped closer, her voice lowering. "This isn't pity. This is about family, about fixing things. We want to make things right." I stiffened. She held up the envelope, a strange glint flashing in her eyes. "It's from Patricia. She's trying to help you, Mom. She really is. The disinheritance, the family problems. It can all be undone. You don't have to live alone like this. We want to help." I stared at her, the envelope dangling from her hand like bait. "Help me with what, exactly? What game are you playing now, Amanda?" Her eyes went dark for a moment, but the smile returned quickly. "It's not a game, Mom. It's a second chance. Patricia wants you to be part of her circle. You don't have to be alone anymore. You can have everything you've ever wanted if you come back to us. Come back to the family." Anger bubbled up inside me, but I kept it in check. I wouldn't let her see me break. "And what do I have to give up in return, Amanda? What's the price for all this help?" She hesitated, and in that pause, I saw the truth. The real Amanda, the one who always wanted something, always looking for an angle. "It's not about what we want from you," she said softly. "It's about giving you what you deserve." My stomach turned. Every word she said felt like a lie dressed up in sugar. I grabbed the envelope from her hand and tore it open. Inside were documents, contracts, more paperwork, just like before. I flipped through the pages quickly, my pulse racing, and there it was buried in the fine print. The catch, the deal, the ultimatum. If I accepted their offer, if I signed those papers, I'd be handing over everything: my house, my business, my savings. All of it would go straight into Patricia's hands. They were offering me a future, sure, but only if I gave up my freedom, my voice, my right to make my own choices. I looked up at Amanda, my eyes hard. "I'm never signing this." Her smile faded for a split second, but she quickly recovered. "You'll regret it, Mom. This is your last chance. You don't understand how dangerous things are. You think you can handle this on your own, but you can't. Patricia, she's not someone you want to go up against." I slammed the envelope down on the counter, my hands shaking. "Get out of my house, Amanda. I'm done." She stood there, looking at me like she didn't recognize me, some strange mix of pity and annoyance in her eyes. Then, without a word, she turned and walked out the door. The silence that followed felt deafening. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd expected. It wasn't just Eric or Patricia anymore. My whole family had turned their backs on me, but one thing was crystal clear: I wasn't going to let them win. The weeks that followed felt like standing in the eye of a storm. Everything seemed calm on the outside, but inside, chaos was waiting to strike. I knew they were watching me, waiting for me to slip up, to fall apart. But I wasn't giving them that satisfaction. I was done being their pawn. I spent every day preparing, every word I spoke, every move I made. I planned it carefully. I couldn't afford any mistakes. Patricia and Amanda thought they had me figured out. They didn't, not anymore. But before I could make my next move, there was still one thing I had to do. I needed to face the source of it all, Patricia, head on. No more hiding. No more waiting. So I drove to her office. The building was sleek and shiny, all glass and steel, glowing in the afternoon light. But no amount of fancy design could hide the darkness waiting inside. As I stepped out of the car, the weight of what I was about to do settled in my chest. This wasn't just a conversation, it was the final battle. Inside, the receptionist gave me a polite but empty smile and pointed to the elevator, like she'd been expecting me. Each floor passed with a soft ding, my heart pounding faster as I got closer to the top. When the doors opened, I walked straight into her office, no hesitation. Patricia sat behind her huge desk, that familiar fake smile plastered on her face, but her eyes told the truth. She knew why I was here. "Evelyn, darling," she said, her voice sugary sweet, "it's so good to see you. I'm glad you came." I didn't sit. I stood tall, meeting her gaze without flinching. "Cut the act, Patricia, I'm done. I'm not signing anything. I'm not playing your game." Her smile stayed, but there was a flicker of something else. "Evelyn, you're being emotional. This is for your own good. We're offering you safety, security. You don't have to live like this." "No," I said firmly, stepping closer. "You want control. You want my life. But I'm not giving it to you. You can't buy me." She leaned back, folding her hands calmly in front of her. "You don't understand. This isn't about what you want. It's about what we want, and you'll regret turning this down. You can't fight us forever." I felt a surge of fire rise inside me. "I'm not afraid of you. And I'm not afraid of whatever you think you can do. You don't control me." Patricia stood, heels clicking on the polished floor as she walked toward me. "We're past talking now, Evelyn," she said coldly. "You're making a big mistake, and there's no going back." My heart pounded in my chest, but I didn't back down. "I'm done with you. With all of this." Something flashed in her eyes, anger, maybe, or fear, but it disappeared behind that same, practiced smile. "Well then," she said smoothly, picking up the phone, "I'll make sure you understand the consequences. I'm not finished with you yet." She started dialing, slow and deliberate, like she wanted me to feel each click. But I wasn't scared anymore. This was it. This was the last time I'd let anyone try to own me. As I turned to leave, her voice followed me sharp and cold. "This isn't over, Evelyn, you'll see." But this time, her words didn't scare me. They felt like the desperate threat of someone who knew she was losing control. I stepped out of that office with my head high and my heart steady. I knew what was coming wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. No more hiding, no more running. This was my life, and I was taking it back.